Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today's guest, Aaron Negherbon. I had actually recorded a podcast with him a while back, and I had never gotten around to producing it or submitting it or anything like that for you guys to listen to. I do apologize to Aaron for that and his foundation or his nonprofit, as you'd call it. It's actually, he is the president and founder of CopsDirect, CopsDirect.org. I'll go into that in a minute. But yeah, like I said, I had never gotten around to producing it. And honestly, when it got months and months away from actually recording the episode, I kind of you dragged my feet even more and was hesitant on doing it just because it had been a long time. That being said, being back at the podcast now, behind the mic, all that sort of stuff, here it is. Here's the interview. So I do apologize to Aaron for taking eternity to produce it, to schedule it for release and all that sort of stuff. Aaron, like I said, is the president, the founder of CopsDirect. I'm going to read right from their website what they do. It says, for those in blue who protect us every day, CopsDirect functions as the nonprofit on-demand supply line for law enforcement agencies in need of first responder medical equipment. If they can't get it, we'll get it for them. CopsDirect supports police officers on a request basis. And it goes much more into what they do in their organization. If you go to CopsDirect.org, they are also associated with another nonprofit, TroopsDirect, getting troops what they need when they're deployed overseas. Like I said, I do apologize to Aaron for taking what seemed like forever to get this podcast out, because it was. And now that I'm back behind the mic, I do want to get this out because, like I said, he had donated his time to be on my podcast to promote his product, or his service, you'd say. So I do apologize to him again. If you guys want to support the podcast, please go to YouTube, Spotify, Instagram. It's at the Point Man Podcast. You can find us everywhere, iTunes. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the show. I hate saying that because it just sounds like wicked cliche, but it does help me when I'm trying to get the podcast out there. All the subscriptions, even I don't care if you guys rate it a 1 star or 0 stars, if you can even do that. Just rate it something, please. Give your feedback. I try to take as much feedback as I can and incorporate it. But yeah, if you guys could do that, go right to the show. PointmanDefensiveSolutions.com is where you can find more info about the business and the podcast. In Counterculture Inc., the network that I'm a part of now, where we are releasing a website soon, and go to Counterculture Inc. on Instagram and YouTube, and like, comment, and subscribe there as well. All right, guys. So like I said, sorry to Aaron for taking forever to produce this, but with that being said, let's get into the interview. Aaron, thanks for joining me on the show, man. I'm glad we finally got the right time, or I got the right time and right day for this recording to actually have happened. I appreciate you being flexible with the CTE kicking in and me forgetting about
No,
the.
it's totally good. I've heard a lot of good things about you guys, and I was stoked to do this. So I've been kind of Xing off the days, and here we are finally. So
Yeah, here we are. I really appreciate it. How was the weather? You're in California, right?
yeah, we're in the middle of like a week worth of storms where Noah's Ark's passing by and the Love Boat's passing by, and Gilligan, I saw him a couple times and all that. But today's actually got a little bit of blue for once, which is kind of nice. So
Oh, there you go. There you go. So you are the founder of CopsDirect and TroopsDirect, correct?
exactly.
So I know CopsDirect, you guys have donated a lot of gear, whether it's actual medical gear or just any tactical gear, I guess you would say, to different police departments. And TroopsDirect was, um, involved in getting care packages to overseas while there were troops deployed, correct?
Well, it's not really care packages, but what TroopsDirect does is we get our Americans any critically needed equipment that they can't access through the military supply chains. We'll acquire it, no charge to them, and put it anywhere on the globe. And
Okay.
primarily, it's not your cookies and candy and logs of dip and stuff like that. It's medical, it's comms, it's tactical stuff, it's canine, it's all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So even with canines, you'll actually supply the dog and the training, or how does
Oh
that
yeah,
work?
no, we won't supply the actual dog. I mean, that's something that
Okay.
we'll leave Uncle Sam to do. But
Hmm.
handlers often there's a lot of ancillary needs that they need for their dogs.
Oh yeah.
I mean, pick the item in that realm, and we've probably handled it from tracking devices to vests to collapsible kennels to leads to whatever it might be. But we deal
Really?
with
Okay.
literally every corner of the military, from your tier 1 and tier 2 SOCOM assets all the way down to National Guard here at home and everybody in between. So
Oh wow, that's awesome. How long has Troops Direct been around for?
I founded TroopsDirect in 2010 when one of my best friends was deployed to Afghanistan as a company commander with the Marine Corps with 3-7. And it's kind of one of those crazy things, how things evolve and you realize that they don't need care packages because there's a ton of that stuff going in theater, but they need like the critical stuff for whatever reason, the supply chain, can't get in a timely fashion. And we're filling that gap. And here we are 13 later, still rocking and rolling and growing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Did you guys actually like slow down a little bit with the withdrawal in Afghanistan, or
We've actually never been busier, believe it or not, because our guys are going now back around the globe. We got Americans in over 100 countries right now.
Yeah.
And the things that you hear about on the front page of the news, right? And now that they're scattered, the supply system is even more labored. Suppose going just to one AOR, they're everywhere, and so we're helping them out, and it's fun to come into the office.
Oh yeah. Well, and that definitely makes life a little bit easier when it is fun to actually go to work. And
Yeah.
you're not stressing out and whatnot. I'd heard that from a couple of different interviews that you had done, that you actually started out in real estate? Is that where you got your start in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in different, areas of business since I graduated college in '95, and as I talked to someone about, and people go, "I'm surprised you weren't in the service," and I said, "Well, in '95 when I came out of college, or I went into college in '91, there really wasn't a call to serve."
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
mean, the first Gulf War was over. I mean, Bosnia was what it was. And 9/11 hadn't, popped off and everything that came from that. So there wasn't really a call to serve. So I was, rolling through my business career and doing a lot of things, including, real estate and property management and all those things. And, this sometimes God just kind of taps you on your shoulder and calls the audible on your life and says, "I need you to do this instead." And you just, you just kind of go with it,
Yeah. Oh yeah. You could just kind of pick up and move, and just change with life at that point in time.
Yeah,
And so it was because of your friend being deployed with 3-7 overseas. That's the reason why Troops Direct started.
exactly.
How did Cops Direct start?
So, CopsDirect started 6 years later in 2016 or so, and part of it was, some guys were coming back from deployments. Understand that we were by that time, we were supporting every branch of service, and all the individual units, inside of them. Guys were coming back and saying, "Hey, I'm out of the military now, but now I'm a cop, and we need a lot of gear and stuff. Could you help us out on this too?" And I'm like, "No, we only do military." But then it's kind of, well, hold on a second. I mean, if we can, trust me, don't start two nonprofits. Running one is hard enough. And two, it's like, I always joke. I had a full head of hair, before I started the nonprofits. But and so, so what we did is we went out, and we did some, direct mail stuff. And we were, it was, medical stuff and, tactical stuff and, duty belts and riot gear and whatever. And the public was like, nah, no. But when we started focusing on first responder trauma care, the TCCC stuff, Um,
hmm
Understanding that, EMS is, in some places over 15 minutes out, if not longer, that,
Yeah.
hey, let's see if we can't help law enforcement save lives, while they're also chasing the bad guys out there. And the public said, yeah, we like that. Here we are now, and we continue. We've really branched from law enforcement into EMS and fire. We're starting to head down that road now also, because we're realizing that, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah, definitely. In my area where I worked full time, EMS wouldn't take, it would probably take, if they weren't out on a call, they'd probably take 4 or 5 minutes for them to show up. If they were out on a call, or if both trucks were out on a call, you had to call a mutual aid, it would have been a few minutes for the mutual aid to actually get there, because there was no other agency that was staffed 24/7. And so you
Right.
have to wait for the people that, especially if it's middle of the night, you have to wait for the tones to go off, people answer the tones and all that sort of stuff, and
No,
get
it's
yeah.
really good. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't, I've never started a foundation or a 501c3 yet. Not that I have any plans to right now, but I'm out on, I've been out on paternity leave since the end of August. Some baby was born the end of August, and
no, it's
um,
awesome.
yeah, thank you, thank you. It's been life changing. And I had always had this idea, as we were talking about prior, to start my own business, being medic in the Army and on the SWAT team. I use those skills to help teach people, not necessarily fire and law enforcement all the time. Teach everybody those skills to see how to save a
Right.
life. And my wife's like, "Well, we have the time off right now because you're on paternity leave, and start a business." I think it was written down somewhere back in the day to not start a business while you're out dealing with your first child and learning how to be a father and a parent and all that sort of stuff. It's definitely hard, but I can only
Well, I mean,
imagine.
to be honest, uh, I started TroopsDirect in 2010, and it was in 2011 in June that my wife and I, we had our first child. And and I was still working in real estate and stuff like that at the time, and property management more than mortgage and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And uh I remember talking to my dad, and I said, Dad, I got to hang this TroopsDirect thing up, because it's just, I'm so busy with that, and I got a family, and I got work, and I got to pay the mortgage and all that stuff. And he goes, what do you want to do? And I said, I love doing TroopsDirect. I mean, it's just, I love it. And he goes, you got to just make that jump, because if that's what you love to do, then go do it. And I remember going home and kind of telling Michelle, I said, I'm going to do this full time. She's like, you're going to do what? And, it's, but
Yeah.
I continue to learn every day. I mean, running an organization like this, where you're dealing with, Americans all around the globe, and then layering that with a totally separate organization that's doing law enforcement and dealing with agencies and other first responding agencies in 35 states and growing, plus vendors and suppliers. I got a great staff. I mean, I couldn't, I'm like the quarterback in a football game. It's like, hey, I got to thank my receivers, my running backs, and
Yeah.
my linemen and all that stuff, because if it wasn't for them, there's no game to win.
Yeah. And was it just you and you solely started Troops Direct?
Yeah, I mean, it was literally in my garage in the middle of the night, packing boxes for my buddy and maxing out credit cards. And this was before I even started as an official 501c3.
Yeah.
And we had some warehouse space in downtown Oakland, just outside of San Francisco. And
Yep.
I'd go down there and pack boxes in the middle of the night with a gun in the small of my
Yeah,
back.
I was gonna say, did you have a little bit of security while you were doing that? Because I bet you that place was probably tried to have been broken into a few times.
It's funny, but I have some friends that were Oakland police, and so I was like, hey, they're like, let us know when you're going down there to do your stuff, and we'll make sure that everything's good, but yeah, it's all's well that ends well. So
Yeah.
here we are now.
Yeah, I can only imagine how stressful and time consuming it was to actually get the vendors and get the funds lined up for the equipment that people needed. I mean, I know you guys work for CopsDirect. You work with TechMed Solutions a lot, and
Yeah.
they develop the soft tea and all, and the softy tourniquet and all that sort of stuff. And, even just trying to run a business.
That's a story right there. I mean, you want to hear a story, you would talk to Ross Johnson, who's the founder of Tackman. I mean, that guy's as chill and low pro as he is. That guy's gangster.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't spoken with him, or I don't know his story yet, but I'd love to talk with him. I'm down with having anybody on the podcast that wants to talk.
Yeah. But, so Ross was God, I'm going to say fifth group, and it's going to be third group, or he was third group, and he was fifth group. He was an 18 Delta there, so he was a medic, and they were in Iraq in the early days of OIF, and they were still using, to quote him, tourniquets that were issued when they stormed the beaches of Normandy.
Oh yeah,
and he literally had a sewing machine in his Pelican or something like that. And he was sewing and making tourniquets for his buddies, and that was a better mousetrap. And now it's the greatest, And
they're making right off.
One of his huge supporters are quality of their products is, in my opinion, better than NAR or any of the other vendors out there. God love them, like Crow or Chinook or whatever. So
I when it comes to tourniquets itself, it was funny because you say that, because I took my first EMT class. I became an EMT in the late 2010s, or 2008 timeframe, before 2010, and they were still teaching not to put tourniquets on at that point in time for civilian EMS. And it's just funny how the military has influenced the civilian EMS side of care when it comes to trauma.
Oh yeah,
because of all the stories and all the casualties that have been seen through the wars in the Middle East, they were able to say, obviously, we need to put tourniquets on because all bleeding eventually stops. But whether they bleed out or you stop it.
If there's one thing good that has come from the last 20 years of warfare in the environments that it was fought, was the advancements of tactical medicine. I mean, it's just phenomenal. So, and it's from the guys that were there in the dirt that said, I know how to do this, not some big corporation that's going to just create something. They know how to do it. And that's if there's anything that's come from the last 20 years, that's the big star.
Yeah. And I do have the few times I've used tourniquets in real life. Actually, the first time I used it was a TechMed Solutions tourniquet. And I do like them compared to other tourniquets that are out there, because you can practice on that specific tourniquet as many times as you want, and it won't stretch out over time, and it's not going to lose its elasticity, if that's how you say it. Or anything like that. It's not going to stretch out. It's not going to fail on you, even though you've used it a few times in training and whatnot. But
I think you'll agree with me also, and I have to laugh at this sometimes, is tourniquets come in different colors, obviously. I mean, black being the normal one, and I understand why.
Call it tactical, you sell it for more.
But I understand why a warfighter who's somewhere overseas would want something like that, because of because there's a signature that comes with any other color. But here it's like we'll get some departments are like, we don't want the fluorescent orange ones, we want to have black ones. It's like, well, why would you not want a big old tourniquet to be blaring orange or red to say, hey, doc, that's on me right now. Fix the hemorrhage and kind of thing. But
no, it's definitely a good point. And then for the companies, like I was just saying, you call it black, or you make it black, call it tactical, you sell it for $10-15 more.
Just people are wising up to the mil spec term though, so don't use the term mil spec anymore. So
or
if you say used by Navy SEALs, then everybody will buy it. It could be toilet paper with a trident on it. Someone's going to buy it for twice the money. So
it's a
I got tons of friends in the teams, and so we joke about stuff like that. But
or it's military grade. Well, I don't really want military grade, please, because I've been in the military. I see how good your products are.
That works for flashlights on infomercials and stuff like that, or blue blocker sunglasses. But
right after the ShamWow commercials.
But the thing that we're seeing is that with CopsDirect as it has expanded, we're not, and we never were really that one trick pony of, hey, tourniquets for all. Everything that we've done since day one, following on the model of TroopsDirect, is that we don't know what you need for your department or your deployment or whatever. So you tell us what you need in the realm of search and rescue or tactical medicine, and we will acquire it and we'll put it anywhere on the globe that you need it, or we'll acquire it and deliver it to your feet at your department. So, I mean, an example was, like one agency that we support a ton just because they always need stuff is San Bernardino County, which is in Southern California. It's the largest county in the nation by square mileage. And it's literally from the snow-capped mountains all the way down to the desert with urban environment and everything. And like for them, I mean, they need a ton of search and rescue stuff because they don't have it. Their SWAT officers are going out on those calls. But then they need they need chest seals and they need, tourniquets and decompression needles. And even to a certain extent, they want, NPAs, the airways and stuff for certain circumstances where they're in austere environments. But another agency, like we did a huge order for Boise, Idaho, and the training captain actually came from Berkeley, California, where we had supported him when he was a SWAT officer. And and Boise at the time, this is 2 years ago, like they had literally no tactical medical equipment up there that was worth a spit. And Spencer comes in, Captain Fomby, great guy. And he's like, all right, he called me up. He's like, hey, can you help us out? I'm up in Boise now. I'm like, Boise, what are you doing up there? And he's like, we need them for our cars. We need them for our officers. We got nothing. Can you help us out? And I remember actually driving up to Boise to do a personal delivery to him. And it was shortly thereafter, after equipping every car and every cop, that they actually had a mass cast situation up there with a shooter. And in the after action, we found out they were using our equipment and stuff like that.
Well, that's freaking awesome that they actually knew that it came right from you, and that your equipment helped save lives. You know what I mean? That's awesome. And it's funny
shouldn't have to be that way, John. It shouldn't
No.
have to be that way, but
Yeah, no, it's funny because I know in the areas that I worked full time at was, with everything with guns and going on throughout the country and, the whole two-way argument, I can't think of a time where I had an issue securing ammo from the PD to go shooting and go practice and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, you can do all your dry fire and all your practice or a lot of your practice without any ammo in your gun. But I never had an issue with, the gear that we were issued or were able to carry at the time. We, if you wanted to go out and buy tourniquets, you could. If you wanted to go out and buy your own, extra mags, ammo, you can do all that sort of stuff. But it was the little things that we had issues with, whether it was the radio system or the radio system in the car, because you can't, you could be next to the PD, but the comms go down and you can't even freaking talk on the radio. So it's good to hear that you guys aren't focused solely on the tactical side of things, and it's a little bit of everything that you guys source through CopsDirect.
Yeah, I mean we stay away from a lot of the tactical stuff because what we found is that really in large part that stuff is provided to agencies on the law enforcement side. I mean, just like firefighters, everyone's going to get a helmet kind of thing. The cops are all going to get their their gun and their riot shields and stuff for the most part. But we're getting big now into training also, is that it's easy to buy tourniquets, but once it's used, it's in the trash can in the ER. But we're now working with TACMED on this product that they have out called an Emmett, and it is literally a full-size mannequin that lives, breathes, and dies. This is as close to a human being as you can get.
Oh yeah.
And it was actually created by the people at Lucasfilms that did all the animatronics for like Star Wars and stuff like that.
Really? I didn't know that they had a hand in that.
Oh yeah, because what happened was that all the green screens and CGI and stuff that's come about, it really put the people that had to create the real robots out of business. And so, and I think I'm super hyper paraphrasing the whole story, but
that's all right.
But so those people now with whatever Lucasfilms for, that TACMED has taken over. And so like the Emmett system, I mean, there's like a remote control that the instructor uses. And if you want the thing to go into cardiac arrest, boom. You want tension pneumothorax, boom. You want the bleeding to increase on a femoral artery, boom. And if you don't put that tourniquet on right, that thing dies, or it lives, or you don't decompress, it's going to die. And so we just did one of those for Denver, about 10 months ago, and it's going to go out to 90 agencies out there that are all going to share this thing. It's almost a $75,000 unit. And
they're not cheap. I know their K9 diesel is expensive too, but
so here's the funny thing: do you know that Diesel's hair is actually the same hair as Chewbacca's?
No, does it make the same sounds too?
The same bolt of fabric as Chewbacca's hair. You want to know what Chewbacca feels like? Touch a diesel dog. Swear to God.
No shit. I mean, my last name's Imperial, so I probably should know a lot more about Star Wars than I do. But that's
I like the original Star Wars from like 1978 or whatever. The rest of them I couldn't care anything about.
Yeah. But no, that's awesome. I've actually used their Emmett's the Army. We have a lot, not to say a lot, but we have access to those, and it's quite interesting because they'll like you said, they're living. The only thing they don't do is get up and walk around and have an actual heartbeat, but they bleed until you put the tourniquet on correctly. You can do chest tubes in them. You can, crike them, all that sort of stuff. And it is fantastic because
it's
the
phenomenal.
interventions that you're applying are, there's an instructor there on a tablet and an iPad for lack of better terminology.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah, and they're over there inputting whatever, if you put an NPA in, a nasal pharyngeal airway, if you put one in, they're going to show you all right, how does the patient respond to that? And so it's very interesting, and that's awesome that you guys have been able to work with them to get it for a state to actually use. I haven't heard of that at all. Is that is that one of the first instances of that actually happening?
I think, as far as I know, it's the first time any nonprofit in the nation has donated something that significant to an entire, set of jurisdictions, if you will, in a region. And when you think of Columbine and Aurora and all that, I think that lightning strikes again in the same place. But I think that's a great place to start. But we're working on trying to get one or two potentially into some regions in California where we've talked to some of the sheriffs out there or out here. We're also, potentially trying to get the support to get into the greater Tennessee area, but hubbed out of Nashville.
Okay.
I've got some other stuff we're trying to, work on that potentially in some other states but we're working to meet with some of the politicians and decision makers that can help us get the funding to actually put it into their states, because again, it's easy to buy a tourniquet, John, but you can't buy the training that comes from something like that. And that's what saves lives.
No, exactly. It's that with that unit, especially, you need to have somebody who actually knows how to use that unit, so they don't script the software and all that sort of stuff. So that's almost like a separate, for you, it's almost like a separate job posting for somebody. You know what I mean? But
well, we wouldn't do it. We'll just say here's the product. TACMED. The great thing about TACMED is that Dan Stout, who's a retired cop, but he's our contact there. He'll set up the training sessions and everything, and he'll get the trainers lined up on that and say, here's how you use it, boom, boom, and go from there.
Fantastic.
So
that's just fantastic.
They're like an extended family out there. They're just absolutely awesome. So
yeah,
I'm going to be going to the SHOT Show next week in Las Vegas, and I'll be, hooking back up with them to see him, which is always a fun reunion. So
thoroughly jealous of that. I was just telling my wife, we have to go out to Vegas a couple weeks after for a wedding. And I was telling her, I'm like, well, podcasts are considered media. So next year I might be staying by for a few days, but
hey, you can get a letter from your agency, but the nice thing about the SHOT Show, I mean, we call it the shit show because it's just so jam packed. But and I think if you go every single year, unless you have specific like human being to human being business, there's no reason to go, because I mean, if you've seen one camo pattern, you've seen them all. You've seen one AR, you've seen them all. You've seen one, Mark 13, you've seen them all. But for us, going out there and seeing some of our vendors that we work with and all that, it's good to get out there every couple of years. And Jake White, who's our development director for CopsDirect, he's going to be out there. And TACMed Solutions is going to be out there. We'll be talking to them. We deal with the Sawmill, which is a big training facility. Actually, wearing the T-shirt right now from one of our events right there.
Cool.
They're going to be out there, so we'll be talking to them. See our friends at Team Wendy helmets. Altama footwear, Wiley X. I can tell you all the thousands of companies that support us. So it's good to get out there and just see them all in one place.
That's good. Did you get it? Is most of your funding, or is it donations from companies, or is it a lot of private funding from individual people?
The funding that runs both organizations in large part is just the generosity of individuals. And, it's America coming together to say, hey, we want to make sure our troops have what they need. It's America coming together to say, hey, I want to make sure that, COP has what they need. Whether you live in Philadelphia or you live in, Pensacola, that donation can maybe help a cop, near you, but maybe it's helping a law enforcement officer somewhere on the other side of the nation. But, these are all, as these are people that say goodbye to their spouses and hug their kids goodbye and leave for their shifts. And, they plan on being home for dinner. We do our best to make that happen as much as we can. And frankly, John, it's you never like hearing the stories of how we were successful, but it does make us feel good when we hear back from a cop on an after action goes, hey, your gear saved a life. And we've heard that more than once, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I've always told people during my training classes that, if I can help you save the life of somebody that great. And it's awesome. But I like the fact that I might not be around for me to hear the story, but you got something from my training and it saved the life of somebody you didn't know while you were out with your family or while you were working wherever right. And whenever it was. And, and it's good because, well, not only did I put the information out that they were able to use to take home or use to take it to work and pick something up from it, but they were, out there helping others. And that's why we got into this job and this career field. And, and it's a great feeling to be out there and just helping people.
Yeah. Well, I love it, especially out here in California, but it seems like in any, urban center around the nation now, there's all these cries to defund the police and, all cops are bastards and, kill cops and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But which is to me is,
be more like defund the politicians.
But the hypocrisy of it all is that when bad things happen, that same person is picking up the phone, they're dialing 911, and when that cop is on their way to that call, they don't know if that person loves cops or hates cops, or is trying to kill that cop when they show up. I mean, you just don't know. And, that's the thing that, got to deal with, and it sucks.
Yeah, without a doubt. How many, you said you're in 35 states and you don't know how many agencies overall so far you think you've helped?
Too many to count. I mean, honestly, there is a quantifiable amount. If we got every single invoice since 2016, went 1, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, I mean, I would say that our goal is to fill up the map. I mean, on our website, there's a map that's pretty up to speed and accurate. And it's not about filling up every state, but the more states we do, the more agencies that we do, that's more lives that are impacted. I don't know of any, tourniquets that are sitting around collecting dust or, any other search and rescue equipment or whatever, but yeah, I'd love to outfit a lot more agencies with radios too. Cause I know that, there's that struggle with that too, where,
definitely. It's funny that, some agencies, like I was saying, have no problem. I mean, I was in New Hampshire, so that's a very live free or die state because, that's a state motto. But, It's funny how some agencies have they don't have an issue supplying that sort of gear, but the little things, the MDT, the computers barely work, or the radios, you can't hear each other and you're literally on the other side of the wall. All that sort of stuff. But it's great to hear that you guys are also helping with that. Have you helped any canines that are deployed overseas that aren't with the military, that are with private organizations?
No.
No. Okay.
Just like we won't supply an individual who's a contractor.
Okay.
That is something where, if you've got an American flag on your shoulder and you've raised your right hand, we got your back. If you're working for, a private firm, those private firms are so darn well capitalized that,
without a doubt,
you don't need our support. But to that end,
no,
I know many individuals who have gone to the private side after leaving, primarily, the realm of SOCOM, if you will. So, no. So the simple answer question is no, because, but at the same time, we have supported many, 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 many handlers deployed to many, 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 many places around the globe. I mean, above us, below us, to the left and right of the United States, where there's dogs, we've received requests, not just Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah. No, it's I had never worked with a canine before this, so I never had one on duty. I didn't want to, because I was already on call for so many things that, I didn't want an extra thing to be on call for. And when I moved down to Massachusetts, I got hooked up with this job, and I mean, I wouldn't want another dog. I have a golden lab, so he's a 3-year-old golden lab, and I'd take another one of him just in every single color. But I didn't want that, the responsibility, like I was saying at the PD, to get called in for, something else now. But now that, I'm working as an EOD handler, it's kind of a little bit more specialized, and I can kind of go do my own thing. But I mean, I've learned a lot from just working with him on, even my behavior. He can pick up on when I'm with him more than I'm with my own family. So he can pick up when I'm feeling off that day. And it's kind of funny just working with dogs and that special bond that you build with the dog and the handler. But
I've got a black lab at home. So,
okay.
I'm a German Shepherd guy, always have been, but my wife won that one and says, I want a black lab. She grew up with labs.
Yeah.
That damn thing sheds everywhere. I mean, you could literally, you could shave it all the way off to look like a bald dog, and it would still shed from somewhere. It's like, I can be funny. Literally, I can be on the other side of the globe and open up a bag, and there's black dog hair, and I'm like, Jesus God, stop.
My wife and I were just having that conversation last night. She equates it to watching TV. We're watching Yellowstone or whatever it is. More often than not, it's Yellowstone or one of the spin-offs right now. And she's like, "Oh, there's a tumbleweed of fur going right across the screen," and it's from him. It's like I said, he sheds nonstop.
Well, it's embarrassing when you have guests over, though, too, because it's like, you've done everything you possibly can to make the house look nice, and then all of a sudden there's a stray black hair on someone's plate, and you're like, oh,
Yeah, exactly. Or you don't even know that they're allergic to dogs, and they come over and they're just swollen right up and can't breathe.
But, hey, if you're in my house, you're going to be smelling peanuts, and you're going to be and getting dog hair. So, but my wife wants a cat, and I'm like, there's no way in hell you're getting a cat. I hate cats.
They're always planning your demise. I think you look at them, they're just staring right at you, and it's like, what are you thinking about, man? It's just stop staring at me.
We have a joke, and your listenership should not take this as real. But she texts
my 12
me,
listeners won't mind. I can guarantee you.
Yeah, she texts me and she goes, "Where are you?" And I was at a gun store out here that does a lot of stuff for us on some of the stuff that we do. And Solar Tactical, by the way, in Idaho and in Livermore, California, 2 thumbs up. But she goes, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm out at Solar." And she texts back and she goes, "You buy gun, I buy cat." And then I responded back with, I shoot cat. And that was the end of the conversation. So, not that I would shoot a cat, wouldn't do it.
This
Joke, America, SPCA, leave me alone. You know,
yeah,
but,
giant disclaimer on that. No, I can
yeah,
understand it.
exactly. So
They're
no, but
just
truly, like I am allergic to cats. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I'd go over to one of my teachers' homes, get math tutored in the afternoon. I was probably in, 4th or 5th grade, and she had cats all over the place. This is before there was the cat lady term. And I would just sneeze for like this half hour of tutoring with her because it was just that bad, and like eyes boiling up and all that. So
the worst is the smell. I mean, you go in there and it smells like a cat box, and it's just I can't do it. I grew up with cats too, and I'm all done, all done. I mean, we had a couple horses, a couple dogs, a couple cats, and it was just not all at the same time, but
no, I get it.
It's just one of those I can't. No, I'm good with cats. So
Yeah.
if people are looking to donate, do they go right to the website?
Yeah, please. I mean, go over to CopsDirect.org. Also, follow us on socials. I mean, Johnny, you and I are talking about this, but we've just kind of gutted and revamped all of our social media. But Facebook, Twitter, and Insta, we're not TikTokers, and
Thank God.
we don't pin things, but we do have Insta, Facebook, because we want people to see what we're doing. Both TroopsDirect and CopsDirect are extraordinarily transparent. When you go to our website, you'll see invoices up on our site so that donors see where their money's going. It's not going to some abyss. And so on social media, it's a myriad of stuff that we've got up there, but we're really working hard now to get more testimonials up there. And we found this kid named Ashton Herrero out of Los Angeles for social media, and the guy's just a genius. And because we're a nonprofit and he loves what we do, he's given us really a great like super mega discount deal and stuff. And
awesome.
So yeah, I mean, following on socials, and go to or go over to CopsDirect or to TroopsDirect or both. And I mean, tax deductible donation gets used like immediately with us because we've got so much stuff coming through right now.
Awesome.
And we're
how long did it take for you to
and very lean organizations.
Yeah. How many people do you have working for you now?
So with TroopsDirect, we have 4 individuals. And on the CopsDirect side, there's 3. And there's a lot of shared stuff there. I mean, I'm on both sides. Adina, who's like my right hand here, is on both sides. And then, I've got, people to the left and right from there. But, we don't have a lot of fat around here. We run I call them fire teams because they're small and lean and cross-trained but dangerously effective. So
it's good to hear. How long did it take for you to actually, I don't want to say this in a negative way, but in my experience with even starting a business while having a baby, it gets very overwhelming very fast. And, if I had the money to hire somebody, that would be great. But at this point in time, I don't. So how long did it take for you to actually start feeling overwhelmed and say to the point, I actually need to hire somebody for this?
With TroopsDirect, 2010 was when we started, and I learned a lot about nonprofits. I mean, about board members, board structure, tax reporting, I mean, all the stuff I never even had to think about that was a requirement, and a good requirement. But then I hired somebody in, I think it was 2017 was our first hire. And so, I mean, it was literally 7 years before we brought somebody on.
Just doing it all by yourself?
I was doing it all by myself.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was crazy, but we were much smaller then. And I think that when you invest in the right people, and you're using donor funds to do that, but when you're doing it in order to grow an organization to become even better than what it is and more effective, and also it was a good investment. And then shortly after that, I brought the second person on the TroopsDirect side, or on the on the TroopsDirect side. And then just about a year ago, we invested in a development director because we have all these donors out there, and we just didn't have the hours in the day with our staff to reach out to these donors and let them know what we were doing. And that's so important. And then on the CopsDirect side, because we've got TACMed, John, doing so much of the heavy lifting for us, and they give us like below cost deals on stuff because of what we do. They're helping us sort all the requests. They're filling it, they're shipping it out, and all those things. So it's
people organizations have gone right to TACMed Solutions, and then if they say, the organization says, hey, we need 15 of whatever it is, and then they contact you from there.
Yeah, because I mean, there are certain circumstances where a department will put a request in with TACMed and say, hey, we need. We'll keep it simple. We need 50 IFACs. We need 10 litters, and we need something else. And TACMed will get back and say it's going to cost you. And again, I'm just putting a number out there, $10,000. And they'll say, great, thanks. We just can't afford that right now. Wish we could, but can't. And then TACMed will contact us, and we talk to them on a consistent basis. We'll say, hey, we got a department here that we may recommend to you that you want to support because good agency, we know they've got needs there, and they just can't afford it. And so we'll say, Roger that. Let's, fire for effect, get it out the door to them. TACMed sends us the bill, and we pay it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And the people there know at TACMed know the industry or the profession of law enforcement, first responder stuff better than we do in certain respects. So let them be our partner and our guide. And that's just invaluable.
Well, that's awesome. Now, if you don't mind me asking, I know that there's been, obviously not with your 501c3s or anything like that, but with other larger 501c3s, there have been, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say the word scandals, nothing like that, but there
are nonprofit organizations out there that are not the best stewards of their donors' funds.
Yes, there you go.
What you're trying to get at.
That is exactly what I'm trying to say.
I have
percentage?
Heard of organizations out there that have grossly misused donor funds.
Large organizations too, and I don't want to say their names right now, but.
No, but it's not my spot to do that. But as it pertains to our organizations, there is administrative expense. If you can't expect organizations like TroopsDirect or CopsDirect or any other one out there, St. Jude or Shriners, to thrive with a purely volunteer staff. But
because you got to pay the bills somehow.
Yeah, but I will tell you that no one in our organization is ever going to get rich. I mean, and we got to keep the lights on. We've got to pay the rent. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, but we try and keep our overhead, the administrative stuff, below 10% as much as we possibly can. And frankly, some years are better, some years are worse. But that's also, John, why we let our donors see on the website, seeing our impact reports that we publish and all that, where our successes are and where our growth is and all that stuff. So people are comfortable wanting to support our organization. And hey, where did my donation go? There's a recent invoice. That's where your money went. It went to that purchase for that department or that agency or whatever there. And I think that's can't be said with certain organizations out there.
No, I think once an organization gets so big that they can't control where the organization is going and how large it and how fast it's growing. And, you think you're giving, even numbers, $1 to an organization, you think that the end user is going to get 95% of that. Let's just say, the person, the veteran or whoever it's going to, they're going to get 95% of that dollar, and the other 5 is going to go to admin fees. But the large organizations I've seen, not all, and some,
some are great and some are not.
Yeah, and it's maybe 50% that has gone to the end user, and the other ones, and the other half is going to the admin fees and people salaries and all that sort of stuff. But no, it's good to hear that it's mostly 90% that's gone down to the.
But I'll say though that there's, and this is something that a lot of the public doesn't understand, and I recognize that when someone gives a dollar, that they want that whole dollar going to the mission. And I get it, but there's a lot that needs to be invested when an organization is starting up, a nonprofit is starting up, just like any company. And, some years you may have a 50% went to the program or just supporting, and the other 50% went somewhere else. And it's not that people were sitting around drinking champagne and flying around in Lear jets. It was that they were investing in advertising to promote your message, to promote their message, or they were investing in travel, not to go sit on a beach chair somewhere, but because they were flying around the nation to meet with people to say, hey, this is what we do, support our cause. So, it's something where, when I donate to the charities, like I'm a big fan of Children's Hospital. When I donate to Children's Hospital, I want all of that $1 going to a child. I know that it doesn't, but I understand I'm giving to a greater good and to, in our case, entities that don't do what we do. And I mean, we're only in a game in town with Troops and Cops, but at the same time, it's kind of funny. I joke about save the whales or something like that. Okay, great. Show me the whale.
Save the turtle. Save the turtle.
Where's or save the owls. Where's the owl that I saved with my donation? Well. Hey, TroopsDirect. Where's the troops that you supported? Right here. There's my list of on that invoice, and that's what we're very proud of.
It's kind of like buying a star back in the day. If you remember those infomercials from late at night, you could buy a star and you get this, you get this piece of paper in the mail saying, yeah, that star over there is named after whoever it was.
That was like the high school gift to the chick that you liked or something that. It was like $20, and hey, I named a star after. Oh, good, John, you're so sweet. I did that for my wife. Now she'd crumple up the piece of paper. Be like, no, eat your dinner out on the sidewalk, So
I always thought it was funny now that especially now that I'm 35, have my own child, and where was the $50 that aunt or uncle so and so gave me when I was 7 or 8 years old? I need that now because I can barely feed myself, never mind my own family. But
my boys, I mean, it's funny, but they're they've got these little side businesses going on, like on garbage day, and everyone puts their garbage cans out. So my boys have gone out and they've got this deal going where people are paying them like $10 a month, and they'll wheel out their garbage cans and wheel them back in the same day for garbage collection. And then they're doing lemonade stands in the pouring rain, and the people just feel bad for them. It's like, hey, here's $5. I don't even want your lemonade. And they're coming home with a grip of cash like this. And one of my sons, I mean, he's 8 years old and he won't spend a nickel. I mean, this kid's got cash stacked to the ceiling. I mean, when I need a loan, I go to my 8-year-old. My other son, he's like, I got money. I got to go buy baseball gear. I got to go buy, this or that, and
that's too funny though.
It's all good.
Teaching them to be entrepreneurs. We're actually, I don't know if you're able to hear my son in the background. We're going through that, he's 4 months old now, so he's going through that 4-month sleep regression. I guess you call it. So last night he was up screaming from I think probably 8 to 1:30 in the morning. We finally, put him in the swing and he fell asleep. You got any suggestions on how to get a 4-month-old back to bed?
I remember our first son. We had this bouncy chair thing, and it was kind of like it sat kind of like this and kind of just bounced on its own spring. It was by Fisher Price or something like that.
Yep.
And he would not sleep in a bassinet or a crib or anything like that.
Really?
He slept kind of leaning back in that thing in our bedroom, and that was his thing, And
really?
And that was through that age. And then our second boy, from what I recall, he was just boom, lights out, put me in the crib, leave me alone, and all that kind of stuff. But it's
that's too funny.
It's magical, I mean, but I'm sure that if you have more kids, you'll see that they're so different every single time. It's not that you set a trend. My buddy who I founded TroopsDirect for, he's got 5 boys. And they're all within not even 10 years of each other, 6 years of each other. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
Jeez,
you know, and
I don't think I could
I
survive
don't
that.
get to see him often enough, but in pictures and stuff, because he lives out in Virginia now. But to see
Okay.
how they grow, and at once they all kind of look the same in a Christmas card, and now they look like all totally different. Like I can't even tell who's who, and they're growing up faster than each other, and you know all
Yeah.
that. So you know,
5 and
it's
6
good,
years.
but
I don't think I'd
yeah.
survive that at all. There'd be no sleep.
I don't
You
know.
know,
You know, they're all going to have their different
that's
sports, and they're all going to have their different
yeah,
interests and stuff like that. You know, and
that's true.
but
That's
no,
true.
my advice is just enjoy it. You know, when leave the house late when you can to go to work, and leave work early when you can to get home. And you know, don't
That's a good quote. I like that.
everyone says don't blink. And you know, we look at pictures. And I got my wife one of those digital picture frames for Christmas where, you know, you upload photos and stuff. And you look at pictures from 10 years ago and you look at pictures from 10 days ago. And it's like, God, what has happened, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's good.
you know,
I like that.
hug them often, kiss them often, remind them that you love them. Because even boys, you know, you don't think you got to tell them that you love them. You got to hug them and kiss them often. So, you
Yeah,
know,
you do. You do.
that's
That's a
all
good
I mean.
quote. I
Yeah.
like. Well, I'll end it on there, Aaron. Well, I appreciate you coming out, and I appreciate you being flexible with your schedule because of
No,
my.
it's all good. I'm happy to be here. This was great. This was
I
great.
appreciate it. Thank you very much. You have anything
You
else
ever
you'd like
want
to
us
say,
back?
Aaron?
If you ever want us back on, just give me a call, and we'll bullshit for another hour.
Awesome. That's what I like to hear. That's the best part of it. I started, there was people who have listened to the podcast. I started my podcast for mental health. And you know what? It's just the bullshitting part and just talking to people that you would have never have talked to prior to having a podcast is just,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So I appreciate you coming on the show, Aaron. And like I said, go to TroopsDirect.org, CopsDirect.org, donate if you can. And yeah, I appreciate it, Aaron. Thank you very much.
All right. Talk to y'all later. Thanks again.
All right.